Hello and welcome back into another episode of Craven Some Raven. I am your host, Steven, here to hit you with all your Ravens needs. No, just here to talk some Ravens football, because I got a fever, and the only prescription is some more Ravens. You feel me? My addiction is slowly but surely kind of being met, being satisfied, because the season is about to get going. Training camp is only 2-3 days away. Today is I don't even know, July 23rd, and I guess training camp does start on the 25th, so we will get to see some action from the players. I don't know if those are open practices or not, but people will be able to go ahead and see what the Ravens got into this year, what they're going to be doing. So before the new season, I wanted to take a look back and see how our season ended. We all know we saw that loss, a terrible game at home when we lost to the Chargers. And a lot has been said about this game, but the other day I watched it full through on YouTube. There's not so much a cut up, it's the whole game minus commercials, so you get all the commentary, you get the flow of the game. I had seen highlights of that game, but I wanted to go ahead and just watch the whole thing. It was the first time I've done that since I think that game happened, just because it's so devastating. The season ended, and feeling sad, like, oh, woe is Ravens me. So I finally watched the whole thing through, and goddamn, all these sports analysts, all these takes about what went down and how the Ravens are going to be this year based on how it ended, it's a load of horse dick, okay? A load of horse dick. So just the common thing that people say is, oh, this Ravens offense under Lamar Jackson, this type of running the ball 1,000 times a game, it's not going to work, because the first team that got to see that style of play for the second time, they figured it out and were able to make changes, and they were able to be beaten. They were figured out. All right, motherfucker. When I watched that game, I saw insanity from our offensive coordinator and Marty Mornhinweg trying to do the same shit and expecting a different result. Sometimes when an offensive coordinator, when they call plays, it's they're calling the game, and it seemed like the Chargers defense was calling plays and we were trying to work around that. They had our number the entire game. Is that Lamar? No. In general, I think Lamar had a pretty good game, other than those two fumbles. One of them was like a straight-up fumble. He ended up getting out of that one, recovering it, and almost throwing it to Willie Snead. Probably should have thrown a completion, but just counted as a throwaway. And then the second one, at the very end of the game, it got knocked out of his hands. And then there was an interception. But that pass, it may have been a little bit high, but it hit Chris Moore square in the hands. He should have fucking caught that. It doesn't matter. You're a professional wide receiver. If it hits you in the hands, you have to catch it. You get paid the big bucks to make that play. So much is said, oh, he's been figured out. It's not sustainable. Okay, well, first of all, we got a new offensive coordinator. Hopefully he does better than Marty Mornhinweg, which I believe he will. But that whole damn game, Lamar Jackson had a decent game. He was making a lot of plays for us. The only success we were having all game came through Lamar Jackson. I mean, he is a quarterback, so it only makes sense. But it wasn't his fault we lost. If you're going to blame one position group, it was the offensive line. Because the defense came to play. They were playing playoff football. But the offense as a whole, without an offensive line that's playing good, you were gonna lose no matter what. I don't care what game. And it seemed like they were playing like preseason football, and the Chargers' defensive line was playing playoff football. They were playing hard. They were playing fast, and we couldn't answer. We really couldn't. James Hurst was, I believe, starting at left guard. And man, Ingram, Bosa, their whole D-line had their way with him the whole game until he was benched. He was literally benched, and Bradley Bozeman went in, and he didn't fare any better. I mean, what do you expect? He was brought in because someone was failing, so his backup's going to come in and do even better. Now, I hope they can all improve and do better this season. But, man, after watching that, I don't know how people with a straight face can blame this on Lamar and the Lamar offense. You can blame it on a Morningwig and terrible offensive line, because that's really what caused us to lose that game, really, straight up. And it was just super, super sad to watch, because they had like 6 yards throwing going into the fourth quarter, I think. You got to bump those numbers up. But, I mean, it really, Marty Morningwig didn't change anything the entire game. Even after the half, it's like, okay, the first half's done. We obviously aren't able to get anything sort of done here. You know, it's time to change things up, move some things around, and make some adjustments at halftime. But he didn't do that. I guess he thought he could just continue with what he was doing and it would work, which is the definition of insanity. The definition. You know, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. The definition. Textbook definition. No bullshit. That's the textbook definition, okay? So, really, it was just, man, just after all those dumbass takes like that, and then watching the game, like, that is not what happened. These motherfuckers get paid to talk about football, and they can't get it right. Like, I'm over here getting no money, getting barely any views. But it's like, am I seeing a different game? Did Lamar have his best game? No. Did he have his worst game? I don't even think he had his worst game. I really do think that it was the offensive line. They had the worst game that they had all season. And so listening to the game, you got Tony Romo commenting, and towards the end there, he was saying, like, all right, if you're going to put in Flacco, now's the time. And, the fans are booing. And I don't think they were booing Lamar. I really do think they were just booing the team in general because they haven't been able to produce anything all fucking game. And really, the way we're losing is Lamar had no goddamn time. The timing was off. And we couldn't get our run game going because we couldn't get a pass off. Because Lamar could only stand back there for about 1.5 seconds before someone was in his face and he had to take off. So the timing of the passing game was off. Everything just was not going to work because the offense goes through the offensive line. And without an offensive line, you got no offense. And that's really why we weren't able to have any success that day. And so Tony Romo is saying, all right, I think you should put in Flacco. Tony Romo, you are supposed to be the next great commentator. You were doing a great job predicting so much. You're telling me you put Flacco into that. He's going to have success? There's no fucking way. He probably would have ended his career with an injury if Flacco went in there. And honestly, you got to keep Lamar in there at that point. You have to keep Lamar in the game. At this point, Romo was saying, like, oh, it's all about the team. It's not about any single individual person. Now, Flacco, we knew he wasn't going to be on the team this year. We knew he was going to be traded or just straight up dropped. So he wasn't going to be a part of the team. There was no use in getting Flacco out there and potentially getting injured just because we think we can win with him. But I really don't think it would have worked. The amount of time that Lamar Jackson had and the way he's able to at least escape the pocket, there would have been at least 5 or 6 more sacks if Flacco was in that game. And I really think that would have been a dumb coaching decision. And if you're going to win with Lamar, you got to lose with him, It would have helped nobody. It would have hurt his confidence. And we saw, like, at the end of the game, he actually mounted a comeback. He started making good throws, on-time throws, getting the ball out quickly. And I think it's just because maybe there were different plays called, and some people point to the fact that, maybe the Chargers were playing prevent defense. Okay. Prevent defense. What are they supposed to prevent? Touchdowns, right? They're supposed to prevent the big play. And what were we able to get in the end there? Big plays, touchdowns. And it seemed like just Marty Mornhinweg, I don't know what kind of plays he was running, but it seems like a lot of the passes that work towards the end, it's all quick passes. Hey, I know my guy's going to be here at this point. Let me throw it out quick. Let me just do the first read and let me go for it. And it seemed like before that, he was just calling, what the fuck? Sorry, car outside making weird noises. Get your belts fixed, boy. He was calling, I don't know, some kind of replay. I don't really know. I'm not the best at breaking down the game tape. But it was like, why isn't it working? Is it Lamar or is it Mornhinweg? And I really did think it was Mornhinweg because it seems like you got to call plays. It's not you're not calling a game. It seemed like he wasn't calling a game. He was calling just the same old plays that used to work. He didn't make any adjustments, and when it came down to it, it's just hard to describe. I'm trying to put it into words best. Where most offensive coordinators, they call a play, and it's a play to set up another play, or you're going with the flow of the game. You're trying to set the team up or scheme up someone open, and it seemed like none of the plays did any of that. It just seemed like he was just flipping a coin, hitting a play like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's go with that one. Let's see if this works. It wasn't like he didn't have command of the game. It really just seemed like, yeah, he didn't have command of the game at all. And really, when you got an offensive line that's playing like shit and a play caller who's calling like shit, you're gonna have a bad game. You're not gonna have a good time. And that's basically what happened. So I'm watching this game and the whole team, basically, besides the defense, playing like garbage. And then the common take is Ravens offense sustainable for this year over a full 16 games? Because, well, you saw what the Chargers were able to do. Bruh. If having 7 defensive backs on the field is the answer, not every team can even do that. No, not all teams have the talent to sustain that kind of play. Not everyone has DBs who can make tackles as like an inside linebacker. Now the Chargers, they did. They did have that skill, and they put a lot of speed on the field to try to stop the run, be able to rally to the ball, don't allow any big plays. Because we were still getting 5-yard chunks every now and again, but it's like then we wouldn't run it again. We would then try to pass it on a shitty pass play, and someone will be in the backfield trying to sack Lamar. Yeah, it was just overall really bad, and it was really disheartening to see. That's why I didn't want to watch it. But all these takes about that game were completely off. And I saw some other breakdowns of the game and some other games during the season where guys are showing our receivers they're in the wrong spots. They're not getting the right depth, and guys are breaking down the tapes all right, so here's the concept. The guy needs to cut off here, go here. This is what it's supposed to be. This is how the play's supposed to work. But you can see, I forget what kind of play it was, but there was 2 outside receivers going in and someone coming in off the other side, and they're all supposed to be flat. They're all supposed to be at the same yard mark, cut in. The way the play works is that the wide receivers need to cut off their routes at the same point. Maybe not at the same time, but at the same depth. And all of them are at different spots. So hopefully David Culley coming in, being our passing coordinator, can kind of fix that, get these guys in the right position, really teach them how the concepts are supposed to work, because it seems like they just weren't able to do that. And that whole game was just proof of an ineptitude, and I think Marty Mornhinweg not being able to change his ways, not being able to make adjustments. I don't really know if Greg Roman's any better, but at least I think his base scheme better fits Lamar and will be better than a Marty Mornhinweg. So hopefully we won't have that kind of failure. And really, that was the worst the offensive line played all game, and we were still almost able to mount a comeback. Lamar Jackson got 150-something yards in the fourth quarter. Started just banging out some throws, getting some deep passes downfield. A lot of those were just fucking Hail Marys, like that one to Kenneth Dixon. It was like, wow, how did that work? But you know what? Sometimes you got to risk it to get the biscuit. And it seemed like he was always trying to play it safe in the passing game with Lamar. And I hope Greg Roman doesn't make the same mistake. He may not be the best passer, but you got to trust him to at least make the pass. Get him out there and say, hey, you got to go out there and make this throw to this guy on time, with anticipation, with touch, with just precision. You got to make this pass. And I think it was one of those Marty Morningwig not trusting the skill set of Lamar Jackson, so maybe he didn't want to have him throw those throws, because in that fourth quarter, man, he was flinging it like right out of the gate. Come out, roll out, boom. Now one step, boom, making passes. Yeah, and it's just really, really, really sad. I mean, the defense played really well too. The only reason they put up so many goddamn points is because our kick return, our special teams, played like ass. They didn't show up at all either. I think, did they get a kick? Did they get a touchdown on a punt return? I don't know, but they kept getting yards on kick returns and punt returns. And I was like, where's our special team? We're supposed to have one of the better special teams. And it just seemed like, as a whole, the Chargers came to play, and I think the Ravens, they might have blown their wad against the Browns. They had all their excitement. They finally got into the playoffs after all these years, after all these disappointing endings to the season. They had so many times, against the Bengals, against the Steelers, the last game of the year, getting kicked out of the playoffs, but always being in the hunt, thinking you're good enough, you're almost there, but then losing these dumb games right at the end to disheartening plays, to the last second Hail Mary bombs, bullshit kind of plays. And I think, finally getting over that hump, it really kind of took it out of the Ravens. I think they just weren't ready. They're like, okay, we finally did it. We're ready. We're back into it. But I think they were more concerned. I don't know. It's just one of those things where they blew their wad. All their energy was sapped. They came off such a huge game, such a huge clutch win. Came down to the last minute. Their emotions, they were drained. Then I guess they weren't able to fill back up by the time the next game hit against the Chargers, because the Chargers came out to fucking play. They're playing fast and physical, and our offensive line as a whole was just sitting ducks, man. They were doing nothing to stop them, to stop the defense from getting in the backfield. Really helping nobody. So all this it was Lamar's fault, this system. Maybe the system, I could see that. It wasn't Lamar, that's for damn sure. But good thing we changed our system. There's a reason Marty Morningwig isn't on the team anymore. Get out of here, Marty. Marty. Hey, Marty, you suck. So, and Marty Morningwig, was it just me, or anytime he did interviews, it seemed like he had just taken a hit of crack. He's just like all over the place, talking crazy. All right, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The guy, he seemed like a crackhead, and took a hit of meth before he went out for that interview. And man, but Peanut came to play that game. That whole, second half of the season after the bye, Peanut was really making more plays than CJ. I know CJ had the big play at the end against the Browns, but Peanut, he was making more big plays. He didn't make the big play, but he was making, I guess against the Chargers he did the first time, and then the second time he was all over the field, man. He was making the right reads. He was just balling out. Our defense did pretty much ball out, except for Jimmy Smith. He allowed 2 long passes, and both of those is perfect pass, perfect catch, super tough to defend. He's not the lockdown guy he used to be. He led a few big plays downfield. And really, defense itself probably only allowed a touchdown and 2, maybe 3 field goals with how much the Chargers moved the ball. But really, our special teams just gave them great starting field position to where they could have a 3-and-out and then just kick the field goal. And that's no recipe to win, man. That ain't no recipe, bruh. And I really do think what we saw last year from Lamar, that is his floor. That is where he's going to start. I don't think he's going to get any worse than that, especially since he was a rookie. He was only 21 years old, people. He could barely drink. So we're hoping this year with a better scheme, more experience on his belt, he can be the star that he is meant to be. Because I truly do believe he's a generational talent. I think he's going to be a star, man. I think he's going to be one of these guys where people just talk about him. People want to talk about him because he's so electrifying and so fun to watch. And it's been a while since the Ravens have had that kind of guy in general. You know, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, those were those guys. But who else would you say is someone that national media members, they want to interview because they got a good personality and an electrifying play style? We say Terrell Suggs. I don't know, man. Terrell Suggs, I'm kind of glad he's not on the team anymore because we kind of had to have him on the team. But it was like Ray Lewis in 2012. He just doesn't have it anymore. And you just got to trot him out there because he's a generational guy for the Ravens. You know, one of these pillars of the team. But his play just really wasn't there. And really slowing up on a small pitch count. So I'm glad that this upcoming year we're going to have some younger guys come in, try to fill his shoes, and I think we'll have some success. You know, he was a big name and he's been good for so long, but I think some of our young guys could probably have more success because they got more speed, more power. It's just that he's old and he's been a pillar on this team for so long that you got to have him in there. You got to put him in. So I think it might be a blessing in disguise that he's no longer there. Yeah, man, that was just a bad game, bad offensive showing, and you can't put it all on Lamar's shoulders. So I'm sick and tired of the national media members saying the same bullshit. I love Rich Eisen takes where he was talking about, you know, I'm tired of this Lamar Jackson doubt. I'm just tired of it. And it's true. I am too. Has doubting Lamar Jackson ever fucking worked? Because after his rookie year or his freshman year in college, people were doubting him. Next year goes out, wins the Heisman. Then the next year, you know, people doubt him the same, like, oh, will he be able to repeat? Yeah, he even had better stats than his Heisman winning year, but they gave the Heisman to Baker. So he's a guy that can improve and knows how to shock and wow people, and I don't see why he takes that freshman to sophomore jump that he does his rookie to sophomore season in the NFL. I think he can have that kind of jump with the right offensive around him and an offensive coordinator who can hopefully, he knows how to call the game, work the flow of the game, know what situation you're in, understand what the defense is doing, peer into the eyes of the defensive coordinator. I don't think Marty did that. I don't think he understood what the defense was doing or how to counteract it because obviously the Chargers defense was beating us. So you have to go ahead and try to counter what they're doing. He didn't do that. And hopefully Greg Roman can come in, know how to counter. If a defense starts playing really well against us, know how to counter these things. Hopefully it never even goes to that where the offensive coordinator just starts calling plays and saying, you ain't ready for this, you ain't ready for this, you ain't ready for this, with great schemes and concepts to the point where the defense is like, okay, how the fuck do we counter this? Because we don't know what's coming. You got to actually call the game, not just call plays. You got to call the game. So, I don't know if I really expected this one to be long. That's really like kind of all the thoughts. I'm sure I'll think of something else to say. I probably will. Maybe doing another podcast. But I mean, finally, training camp is coming. So we're going to see the position battles break down. We're going to see some cream rise to the top and some soot drop to the bottom. I don't know what the opposite of cream rising to the top is. What is the opposite of that? See the cream rise to the top and the sand, the sediment drop to the bottom. Just mix your drink up. We want to see all these guys doing well. I want the cream throughout every sip of that coffee, okay? Yeah, so getting excited. Hope you guys are too. It is almost fucking here. Wow. Guys. It's almost football, baby. Oh my God. Shit, man. I'm probably going to once the season really starts ramping up, once we get preseason, I'll probably be doing a bunch more episodes. I'm going to try to do maybe 3 a week, maybe 4 a week, maybe 5 a week, maybe 1 every day. I don't know. Because I want to talk about like betting, because I want to bet on some sports this year, bet on the games, bet on the football games, because I am in New Mexico, and we do have casinos here, and I believe some of the casinos do have a sports book, so I can go in there, do some live betting, get in there, spend the whole day there. Maybe I'll talk some fantasy, but I don't know, I don't want to give away my secrets, because I want to win, okay? Because I'm playing some of the Ravens YouTubers in a fantasy league, so I want to be able to, stick it to them. I don't want to give them any help, any advice, but they watch football, they know who's good, who's not, but I'm going to try to take it to them, make some good fantasy decisions. Just draft a good team so that I don't have to mess with anything. No injuries, that's all you can hope for. So, I'm going to be doing a lot of episodes. I don't know if I'll be doing a pre-game, post-game type thing. I'll probably be doing breakdowns of the game beforehand, maybe a post-game kind of recap. But I know some of the other Ravens YouTubers are going to be doing something similar to that, and they're going to be live streaming, which is probably a better format for that. And this is a podcast too, so it's just better for, the work week after the games. So maybe I'll try to jump in on those streams. I don't really have streaming equipment. I just have my laptop. It's got a camera on it, but maybe I'll hit those guys up and see what's good, see if I can get on a stream so you can see my lovely face. I remember I posted one podcast and I put it on to Ravens Reddit. Someone was throwing some shade. Like, do you really think someone wants to hear you sipping water? Because I was drinking water the whole time. Because I was thinking, going into it, I was like, I am not going to pause this one. I am just going to go straight through, no pauses for water, because that's really what I do. I usually have 3-4 pauses a podcast just to drink some water. I'm really just doing this off the top of my head. There's no script. Sometimes I write down a subject, but it's really like a bullet point. Like here, for this one, I wrote down, figured Lamar out. That could mean anything. But it was about, them not actually figuring Lamar out, and it was more them figuring out Marty Morningwig and all that bullshit. So, a little behind the scenes here. We like to keep it, keep it loose, keep it unprofessional. I don't want this podcast to become work. Hopefully if I get better numbers and it starts getting popular, maybe I would be more willing to do that. And maybe that's one of those, if you do that, then more people will come. But it's like, man, I just want to, do this on the side, talk some Ravens football, have some fun with it, be chill. I don't need to be stressing out about recording a podcast and getting all the information and the stats right. Because you shouldn't be coming to me with stat information. I'm just here with opinions, and hopefully people like my opinions. I live in New Mexico, so I need someone to talk to about Ravens football. And I know I'm just talking with myself, but if I'm going to talk to myself, you do it in your head. You don't speak it out loud. So I kind of want to just get these thoughts out here, do the podcast, have fun doing it. It really is just a fun hobby. I'm a huge fan of it. So, I hope the peeps out there who listen, all 5 of you, I hope you enjoy it, I wouldn't say I'm trying my hardest, because I'm not really trying per se. Just speaking. I don't know. I don't pause it, edit it. When people edit their stuff, you can tell. And it's like, yo, what were you saying in between that point when you paused it? Like, I want to hear the real you. I want to hear what comes through when you're not sure what you want to say. The authenticity. That's what I want. I want real Ravens opinions with authenticity. That's kind of what I want this to be. So this has nothing to do with that Chargers game. But, like I said, it doesn't matter, man. If you're a fan, drop a like, subscribe. It's a podcast, so it's on all the podcasting apps, all the main ones. So if you want to subscribe there, you want to listen to some great Ravens content and put your phone in your pocket, I'm trying to get that down. It'll work. So you don't have to watch it on YouTube, but I do normally post some of the podcasts to Reddit using the YouTube link just because it's easier. You just send that link. I don't really know how to send a link to iTunes and Spotify and all these other spots, and it's just easier because everyone has YouTube. So hopefully you can, the idea, posting it on the Reddit, the Ravens fans would come, see it, and then subscribe on a different platform, because I really don't do videos. I know that's more popular on YouTube, obviously, because I had another person throwing shade, like, if you're going to do a video podcast, wouldn't it be good if you actually put your face on it, actually had a video? It's like, fuck, bro. It's just Why? Why are you going to throw shade? Go out of your way to throw some shade. And it's not even a video podcast. It just posts to YouTube as well. And he was like, I don't even care if you're ugly as sin. It's like, I ain't ugly, bro. I mean, maybe I am. I've never been told that. So, I've been told I look like, I've heard so many different names. I've heard Big Wild, the DJ Big Wild. I've heard Dylan O'Brien. I've heard this guy, Bobby Bones. I don't know, I guess he's some radio guy. And who else have I heard? Some old lady, she said I looked like, my hair was a little bit shorter. I mean, long, but it was shorter than it is now. She said I looked like Jim Morrison. I was like, hell yeah. It's like, those are all good-looking dudes, so I don't know. I just don't want to, I don't know. Not a huge fan. I don't do a lot of social media in my personal life. Putting my face out there like, look at me. I'm fine with having my voice. You judge what I say. But I don't know. Either way, whatever. I think that's going to do it. I'm rambling on about nothing here. About the podcast in general. So, either way, I hope you enjoyed. Drop a like, comment on it. Like I said, I am going to be in the SZG Sports, SZG Sports. He's doing fantasy football, so I will be in that. So I will be talking trash. I'm always in Ravens YouTube live stream comments and always in the live chats, always talking. So try to give some shout outs, give some funny opinions. Yeah, in those chats, I'm usually not trying to bring out anything insightful. I'm usually just not so much troll, but like say something funny. Like I like to give players nicknames in there. I like to just say ridiculous stuff like #bring Alex Collins back. Let's bring Alex Collins back. The main man, the Colonius Collins. Either way, yeah, I'm done with this podcast, I guess. I'm gonna stop rambling on. So, football's back, baby. My craving for some Ravens is finally getting quenched. So close, baby. So, I'm going to leave you with a go, Ravens, and thanks for listening.